Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz, your host of the Raiders Report, and hopefully all y'all had an amazing Easter weekend. I know Alex and I, our dog Chuck, we had an awesome time with our friends and family. But coming up here live on today's show, the Las Vegas Raiders, they re-signed an offensive lineman. I'll kind of get into why I believe that they ended up going this route here and put out a video already on Twitter, Instagram, and as a YouTube short. So you probably heard some of my ideas behind why the Raiders decided to bring back who they did. But this has been something that I would say that we have looked at and said that the Raiders need to do before the NFL draft. Then, what I figured I would end up doing here is a few weeks ago, months ago probably at this point, I made a video around what the Raiders need to do if they have to try to get Jaden Daniels, right? Like, what's their plan A? Their plan A has always been Jaden. I've always said, as the host here, that if you're the silver and black, you also need to have your plan B ready. Well, guess what? I'm going to walk through what the Raiders should do leading up to the NFL draft if their plan is to actually draft Michael Penix Jr. because I've heard it. I've seen you guys say it. Y'all have heard it. The chances of the Raiders trading up into the top 3 and getting Jaden Daniels, it's not a very high chance. Chance of getting Michael Penix Jr. is a lot more likely. And then what I ended up doing here is I did 5 round 1 trades that the Raiders could consider. There's some trades of Las Vegas going up. There's some trades of the Raiders falling back. There's also some trades there where the Raiders trade back up into round 1 to figure out who they should get at the quarterback position. Right now, probably the biggest item of conversation around the National Football League. Welcome in Jeremy Chuggs. And I'll be real, I didn't know whether or not I was going to talk about this topic today because we were still waiting to get a little bit more information, and we'll kind of put out some more info out there. And I know some people are going to be like, well, Mitch, this is the Raiders report. Why are we talking about the Chiefs players? If you don't think the Chiefs impact the Raiders, then you need to wake the hell up here. But let me know down below, and if you don't know the story behind this, it's all good. We'll talk about it a little bit coming up here on today's show because where this incident happened is literally right down the road.
Not even a figure of speech.
Literally right down the road.
It would take us maybe
I could run
15 minutes to run there.
Yeah.
From here.
Yeah.
I drive that way home every single day from work, which scares me because I could have easily been in that wreck.
My old exit was 5A. When I first moved down here, 5A. I mean, it's if you, where we live here in Dallas, Texas, 75 is the main highway. That's the road everybody goes on. And I agree with you. I mean, I had a few people reach out to me are you okay? And at first I was like, I don't even know what the heck's talking about because I kind of got away from my phone this weekend. But, yeah, I mean, it's a very scary situation. Smarten up. You don't need to be drag racing out there.
And it's been was he there? Was he not? We'll show you some pictures. Unless he's got an evil twin, it definitely looks like he was at the scene. And a couple other people I actually recognized from covering high school football here, a couple guys who go to SMU that I am very sure that it's them in the picture as well.
I'll say this. Nothing has been confirmed yet. There has been some new updates that have happened just probably in the last few hours, which we will discuss. I don't want to speculate anything. However, I'm not doing a good job unless I cover this story here and just fill you guys in on everything that is going on around Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice. Now, we will talk about that a little bit. We'll also get into the Raiders re-signing a player. But before I do want to tell you about our sponsor, Game Time.
Game Time, brother.
I'll tell you this. Do you think tonight's women's college basketball game is going to be the most watched women's college game of all time, LSU and Iowa?
Oh, I mean, it's definitely going to be in the top 5 of my women's college basketball games that I've ever watched.
I mean, it's probably going to be the most watched game ever, and there's a part of me where I was like, I would love to be able to figure out a way to go to that game. To me, that's the game that you would want to go to. Now, obviously, we're not going to be able to, but maybe somebody that lives near where the game is going to be held, you can go on to Game Time. You can download the app, free to do, $20 off with Chat Sports is the code, and somebody's like, Mitch, can you spell that out for me? I can. CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. But, I mean, let's face it here. Buying tickets to your favorite events, it shouldn't be stressful. Whether you want to go to a hockey game, a lot of college basketball games recently.
We actually had some games this past weekend. One of our guys,
a few of the guys went.
Smitty went to the game on Sunday, I believe, the Duke North Carolina game.
NC State, yep. No, I mean, I was looking at the tickets, and I was away, probably like an hour and a half away is like where Alex's family lives. And I was like, man, if I was in Dallas, I would have really entertained the idea of potentially going to one of those games. But, like, you can look up a whole bunch of different categories. There's the popular category. There's events under $50. I mean, they do all sorts of different things over on Game Time. So if anybody wants to go get started, you can find the link. It's going to be available to you all down in the comments and in the description of today's show. All you got to do, click on that link, get started, use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Now, Jeremy, what we're going to end up doing here on today's Raiders Report stream is I want to get into the latest here of things going on around Rashee Rice, things going on around the NFL, the player that the Raiders re-signed. And I do think that if I was Telesco and Antonio Pearson, and you guys will kind of see what I'm saying, when you see news happening around your rival team, I would be the organization that would start playing chess and not checkers, which I might be saying that even more because I played so many rounds of chess this weekend. I taught Alex how to play.
Really?
I did. I'm not going to lie. I won every time. I can't let her win. Like, you got to earn that right. But she did learn how to play chess a little bit. But if I'm the Raiders, I'm trying to figure out, all right, if the Chiefs could potentially be looking for a replacement for Rice, if some of this stuff ends up coming out, if you're the Raiders, do you try to already like start looking at the wide receiver market? Do you start putting some feelers out there to say, you know what, who are some guys that you do not want to see Kansas City sign? Can you potentially bring in one of those dudes? Because, I don't know, I think it's at least a little bit of a conversation. So we'll talk about it here on today's show. To the 611 people out there, I know some of y'all probably thought that we were going to do some April Fool's Day jokes. Not going to lie, April Fool's Day in this work, like that Chugs and I do, it's probably my least favorite day of the whole calendar year.
I mean, it's kind of getting old.
It's extremely old.
Like, everybody, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I like Jagger says, you got an early April Fool's, Jeremy, from Twitter. Is that from, I mean, the only thing Jeremy was doing on Twitter this weekend is
bodied.
Him and MLF were not doing too well.
Well, I mean, I was fine with it. Panthers fans were not happy, though.
No such thing as bad publicity.
All 20 of them pissed off.
Yeah, there's just a little bit more than Chargers fans out there.
Jagger actually was he was defending me in the comments section. He's actually one of the two people. So I got notified by somebody here in the office who goes by Marshall Green. He told me about the tweet. And then I looked on my phone and on Twitter, the first thing I saw was Jagger Drury had tagged me beneath and was like, wow, not even going to tag at Jeremy Chugs. I was like, appreciate it. Because they were ripping me apart behind my back.
Yeah, hey,
They not even to my face. You
cowards.
You cowards!
I mean, that's part of the bit, though, right? Like, at the end of the day, you're putting the content out there. Somebody took the screenshot. People, if anything, it's just going to help you in the long run. That I can promise you. If you haven't already, make sure you guys vote at the top of the poll here, which is just simply, do you want the Raiders to draft Michael Penix Jr.? Give me a yes, give me a no. And then coming up here on today's show, which is what I want to get into right now, we are going to get into the latest around the Raiders, the player they re-signed. Then we'll get into the latest here around Rashee Rice. And if you're the Raiders, I am looking now at the wide receiver market. I'm just trying to get a better feel of who some potential Rashee Rice replacements could be, what that's going to end up costing, because I do think it's pretty intriguing. Hang on. This is, all right, can you add this to the show? We just got a little bit of you can just add this social. After the after the social that's already in the show, then just add that one. I just slacked it to you. So getting some more updates here. Raider Muerte sending in the good vibes. Is anybody going to be watching the LSU Iowa girls basketball game tonight? Because I'm not going to lie, I'm excited for that game. I'm probably more excited for that game than I was any other game this whole weekend, or like this past weekend. I feel like March Madness has been a little underwhelming. Tell me, who you guys got? Give me LSU or Iowa. Let me know down below. I know for my family March Madness bracket, Alex, if LSU wins, I'm pretty sure she's going to end up winning the entire thing. What? Yeah, we do women's and men's every year. Women's and men's every year. My family's insane when it comes to sports. But LSU, Iowa, let me know where you guys rank. I'm just hoping, like, it comes down to a buzzer beater. Whether that's Reese or whether that's Caitlin Clark, I hope that they're defending each other and whoever else makes a buzzer beater to win it all. Like, that's iconic to me. That would be iconic. I see Sucker Free says LSU. King Shop going to go with LSU. PG says Iowa. Frank Perez said, I'm going to type in UConn, which I don't even see UConn up on screen there. Zalesbo, Iowa. Terry Nelson, LSU. We got Victoria B going to roll with LSU. Zalesbo going with Iowa. I mean, I'm telling you what, this game is going to be the most watched women's college basketball game of all time. I really do think so. Daniel says LSU wins, but Caitlin Clark goes off. See, I don't know, man. I think LSU's the better team. I think they're the more tough team, and if they can figure out a way to lock up Caitlin, could be an interesting game. I'm just hoping it's a close one. All right, y'all, we got 700 people here. I see a few more super chats from 93 and then from Wild One as well. We'll get to those. You want to get to them now? Let's go to, I got 93. Not sure if I earned a jersey yet, but I will. I cannot be an a-hole and say I'm glad. KC drama is my favorite drama, but certainly helps. Henry Ruggs comes to mind. At least I'm not going to give Ruggs any credit whatsoever, so I'll just skip that. And then not sure if you earned a jersey yet. I mean, the way that we give out jerseys here, 93 Nabman, is if somebody sends in a $500 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365, then you get a jersey. Or if somebody else sends it in and they want to donate a jersey, then we end up doing a raffle. But those are the two ways that you can get a jersey here on the Raiders Report. Let's go to my man, Wild One. What up, Wild One? Hey, Mitch from the Philippines. What have I missed? Any new rumors on the Raiders trading up for Jaden Daniels? I mean, at this point, we know that the Raiders want to. If anything, they're starting to realize that the chances of them doing that are becoming less and less and less likely. So because of that, I think is why you're starting to see a little bit more of the rumors and stuff trend around Michael Penix Jr. What up, PG, FKC, and Raiders? I just saw this update from Dov. A lot of buzz that the Patriots might draft J.J. McCarthy. Per somebody who I don't trust, but hey, you know what? Feed the monster. Feed the monster, man. Yes, I am ready. All right, y'all, coming up, let's get into the latest here going on around the Raiders. Rashee Rice, and if I was Las Vegas, what I would do based on the new information that has come around from this Chiefs wide receiver, and I'll give my answer of whether or not I think he's going to be suspended, whether he's going to be punished. Something is going to happen. That I do believe. You good? All right, y'all, coming up right now, let's get into the latest here around the Raiders. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. And coming up on today's show, we're going to talk about the player that the Silver and Black re-signed. Also, I figured I'd get into the latest on Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice. Had a lot of people ask me over the weekend, you know, what this situation is. For those that do not know, it's literally like right down the street from where Jeremy and I film, where this incident happened. And I didn't want to go out and speculate on too much. So what you guys are going to see is literally exactly what has been reported up to this date. But if I was the Raiders, I would take this situation going on with my rival Kansas City because, you know, you got to keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. And based on this situation with Rashee Rice, should the Raiders potentially look at some receivers that Kansas City could sign and you try to block them because, well, there's certain guys that I do not want to see in Kansas City. Now, the reason why you guys should subscribe to the Raiders Report is because I do my best here to keep you guys up to date on everything going on. This is not an April Fool's joke. The Las Vegas Raiders, they re-signed Jordan Meredith. He appeared in 17 games last season, started in one. Just think of him as more of like a swing guard, a little bit more depth that you can add. Can play left guard, can play right guard. I will admit, if the season were to start today, Jordan Meredith is probably your starting right guard, but I'm telling you, this is not going to be the plan. This is a good, safe move by the Raiders, keeping a guy that's probably going to be your 8th, 9th offensive lineman when it comes down to your final 53-man roster cut down day. But honestly, man, seriously, like, hit that subscribe button because anytime anything happens around this team, I will do my best to keep you guys up to date. Over the weekend, had a bunch of videos go out, and we were just doing our best, like I said, to talk about some quarterbacks. If anytime breaking news happens, we will end up going live, and the main story probably on this is around Kansas City. But you know what? They say just win, baby. They say commitment to excellence. You got to chase that giant. And right now, the giant is named Kansas City. And if they end up losing their star receiver, that information is relevant to the silver and black. So everything that you're about to see here has been what is reported thus far. I'm getting it from Yahoo Sports. And then over the past, hour or two, there has been some updates on this situation. So let's get into it. Yahoo Sports on Rashee Rice. Dallas police are searching for Kansas City Chiefs receiver Rashee Rice in connection with a major accident involving multiple vehicles that occurred in the city on Saturday evening. A vehicle believed to be leased or registered to Rice was involved in a crash in northeast Dallas at approximately 6:20 p.m., as reported by the Dallas Morning News. Police officials confirmed to Morning News reporters that officers are looking for Rice. The crash occurred while a Corvette and Lamborghini were racing in the far left lane of a street, and both drivers lost control of their vehicles, according to the Morning News. Dallas police said that the Lamborghini went under the shoulder, hit the center median wall, and caused a collision involving 4 other vehicles. The drivers of the Corvette and Lamborghini fled the scene without providing any information or checking if anyone involved needed medical attention. Police do not know whether Rice was actually involved in the crash, though he is suspected to be the driver of the Corvette. Now, again, I'm not going to sit up here and say he was there. I'm not going to sit up there and speculate anymore until we get more information out. However, based on this picture here, unless he's got a twin, I'm going to sit up here and say that I do believe Rashee Rice was there. I'll also say it's never a good look for you to flee any type of scene. I don't know if alcohol's involved, if drugs involved, if guns are involved. Until we get more information on this entire story, this is what we're going to talk about. It's the latest here. Do I think he could potentially get suspended? Maybe. Do I think that there's going to be more issues that come? Maybe. But the bottom line is this happened literally right down the road from where Jeremy and I film. I had a lot of people reach out to me, ask if I was okay. I am perfectly fine. Everybody that I know that was involved in this situation is okay as well. I believe 2 people were taken to the hospital for minor injuries. But the bigger important issue is this. If you're Kansas City, you've had an issue before with, let's just call it what it is, like Andy Reid, his son, situation with a vehicle. Now you get this whole situation, is the NFL going to lock down on Andy Reid? There's potential there. My question, though, and I want everyone to answer this one, will Rashee Rice get suspended? Give me a yes, give me a no, and I want you to answer it with your God-honest opinion, right? It's not, I hate the Chiefs, so yes, he's going to get suspended, or no, he plays for Kansas City, they're not going to do it. It's be an honest person here. Give me your answer. Will Rashee Rice get suspended? Give me a yes, give me a no. Let me know down below. My answer is yes. I do think that there's going to be something that comes out of this. I'm not going to sit up here and say it's going to be a full season suspension. I would anticipate 2 to 4 games is probably somewhere around the area. Now, it could change based on more information, based on him being able to cooperate with Dallas police, but there is some updates that have happened today. And one of the things that happened, Josina put out yesterday, which was on March 31st, I am told Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice has retained counsel per source. Separately, a release on the incident is expected sometime tomorrow, which is now today that we're getting this information, and now we're starting to get more and more as time comes. So this one we just got. This is a statement from Rashee Rice's lawyer, and it is, on behalf of Rashee Rice, his thoughts are with everyone impacted by the automobile accident on Saturday. Rashee is cooperating with local authorities and will take all necessary steps to address this situation responsibly. Any and all requests for comment can be directed to his attorney, Mr. Royce West of West & Associates, LLP. I'll say this. I think that's kind of a weak move. I know we're live right now. We're doing this. We're getting updates as this comes in. I mean, were giving a lot of weird faces when I was reading that. I mean,
his thoughts are with everybody. He didn't check on anybody.
Yeah.
He's working with authorities. They haven't been able to find him for the past couple of days. Everything that lawyer just said
is bullshit.
Is BS.
Yeah, I completely agree. But then again, that's what a lawyer does. That's what the situation is. I don't think that it's a smart, responsible decision to flee the scene, and we'll see what ends up happening. Like I said, I wanted to give you guys everything that we know right now because whether you like to think it or not, what happens to the Chiefs does impact the the Kansas City or does impact the Raiders. What I am happy, though, is everyone's okay. Everyone's safe. Be smart. Don't do anything stupid. You're operating a vehicle is maybe the other thing that I want to throw out there. Coming up next here, though, we will look at some potential Rice replacements for the Chiefs because if he's suspended and he's out multiple games, if you're Kansas City, yes, you could look in the draft, but if there are also potential receivers that you could look at in free agency, I'll give you some names to keep in mind. Before I do, though, I want to tell you about our sponsor, Game Time. And let's face it, buying tickets, it shouldn't be stressful. Life in general should not be stressful. Yes, you're, of course, going to get hit with stress at times, but when you're going out and hanging out with maybe your significant other, your kids, or the boys, I think that's when you want to have a good time. So what I want you to do, snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guaranteed, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Some of the things that I love about Game Time is their event cancellation policy. I love that all prices are just kind of shown up to you like in the all-in price. That way you're not hit with any surprise charges at the end of it. I love that you can sort events based on popular, based on events under $50. You can sort things based on like cities where I never really thought about it, but being here in Dallas, like one of the things that I recently kind of discovered just because I was searching for date night options for Alex and I, you can like look up Dallas, you can look up Fort Worth, you can look up Arlington, like you can look up all these different places, not just in the city that you're in. So if you're in an area, you're like, oh, there's a city that's an hour away, 30 minutes away, 2 hours away, and you don't mind making that trip, like that's also why I love Game Time. And if you're just hanging around, you can get those last-minute tickets. I think it's a lot of fun, and it's a cool way to be able to create some memories. So obviously terms apply. Create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, that's CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, so let's get into some of these potential Rashee Rice replacements for Kansas City. And if I'm the Raiders, I'm going to try to play a little bit of chess compared to checkers here because if I know that you could potentially not have Rice, then what am I trying to do? I'm trying to figure out what the wide receiver market is like, and who knows, maybe you could drive up some prices here a little bit because losing this guy is going to hurt this Chiefs offense. It is. I mean, he's their number one wide receiver. I know that they signed Marquise Hollywood Brown, but realistically, the number one receiver in that offense is Rice, who had 79 grabs, 938 yards, obviously coming off a very solid playoff run, Super Bowl champion. Now, like, this is the dude that they were trying to really incorporate that offense around. Like, yeah, you got top receivers, and Rice is going to be that one. Hollywood Brown's going to be the two. He's the field stretcher, but he's also one of the only dudes that I think that you can rely on that can actually catch the football. Marquise Hollywood Brown, he's had some drop issues. Kadarius Toney, that guy's a clown. And then everybody else on that roster, I mean, Kansas City has one of the worst wide receiver rooms in the league, yet they still were able to find a way to, get some dubs, right? So when I think about some potential Rice replacements for Kansas City, to me, two names come to mind, obviously, MVS, McCole Hardman, which I would say is probably the most likely thing that ends up happening. Odell Beckham Jr.'s name's been thrown out there, and if you're the Chiefs and you want to try to spend some money, I don't know how expensive it's going to be. The dude made $18 million last year. If I'm the Raiders, I wouldn't offer him more than $5 million, but OBJ is going to get his paycheck. Two other names that I'll just throw out there to keep in mind. DJ Chark, if you're looking for speed, and if you're looking for more of a cleaner route runner, if you will, I think Michael Gallup could be a name that Kansas City looks at. So if I'm the Raiders, what I would do is I'd give up MVS a call. I'd give McCole Hardman a call. I'd give OBJ, DJ Clark, any receiver out there that you think the Chiefs could potentially be interested in. I'm picking up the phone, and I'm going to call them for two reasons. One, to figure out what their market is. The other reason is, should the Raiders potentially add a wide receiver? This has been something that I've talked about for weeks because when you look at the Raiders wide receiver room, it's top heavy, right? Like, you got Devontae Adams, you have Jacoby Myers, and I know that we are all hoping that Trey Tucker takes that next step. But is he going to take that next step? I don't know. So we'll talk about some receivers that the Raiders could potentially look at. Before, though, I do want to ask this question because my family is obsessed with college basketball. And I got a lot of family members. One of my cousins, she's a coach for women's college basketball, and we're doing a poll, and we're doing a March Madness bracket. And tonight, I believe this is going to be the biggest watched women's college basketball game of all time. You got the LSU defending champs and the Tigers going up against Caitlin Clark in Iowa. I mean, Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, it don't get any bigger than this. I ended up picking Iowa in this game. However, I think I want LSU to win because Alex, my fiance, if LSU wins, I'm pretty sure she's going to win our family March Madness poll, which a few extra $100, but I definitely wouldn't be mad about it. All right, let's talk about now the Raiders potentially adding a wide receiver because as it stands right now, you have 5 receivers on your roster, right? And no disrespect to Christian Wilkerson or DJ Turner. I don't think that they even, if the season started today, yes, they're going to make the 53-man roster. But, like, when cuts actually come to happen, if you told me Christian Wilkerson and DJ Turner both were released, it wouldn't surprise me at all. So when I realistically look at this Raiders wide receiver room, I kind of look at it as just the pictures that are up on screen. Like, I don't look at it as Wilkerson. I don't look at it as DJ Turner because those, if anything, are just special teams guys to me. Like, there's nothing special about any of those. Wilkerson was signed because he's a McDaniels guy. Yeah, he hung around a little bit longer. Turner, to me, is a little bit more of just a special teams player. So if I was the Raiders and I wanted to look at some potential wide receiver targets out there on top of this Rashee Rice news, these are the names that I could see this team looking at from a special team standpoint because you have to figure out a way to replace DeAndre Carter, whether you thought he was good or bad or what have you. He was the Raiders kick returner. They have new kick return rules, so these are just some names to look at. With Carter, Agnew, yes, Jakeem Grant's had a lot of wicked injuries the past 2 seasons, but like if you want to find a receiver/special teams guy, these names, and then if you want to find a bigger, maybe red zone type of option that you could also just add to be a wide receiver 4/special teams guy, I do think Byron Pringle, Laviska Shenault Jr. could at least be a few names to keep in mind. My point is, though, I think the Raiders need to add a receiver. Could now, with the Rashee Rice news, could you start maybe paying a little bit more attention to the wide receiver market? If I was Las Vegas, though, just based on how much money these receivers get, if I was the Raiders, I would target a receiver in the draft, and there's one name to me that I just continuously hear time and time again, and we'll talk about who that is. To me, though, the names that you're about to see right now up on screen are the receivers that I would say are the most likely to get drafted by the Raiders. Obviously, where you end up taking them, skill set, all of that gets tied into it. And if the Raiders end up taking a receiver, the guy that's number 1 on my list here is the name that I would be willing to bet and say that's the most likely option. For Troy Franklin out of Oregon, you're probably going to take him at pick 44. That's a little bit too high for me, though. This has been a guy that I have heard that the Raiders are interested in if they want to add a little bit more legit speed to the outside. I will say, if you had Troy Franklin, that might be bad news for Trey Tucker. Let's go to number 4 here, Javon Baker. And if Las Vegas ends up taking a receiver, I anticipate that they end up taking that guy in like round 4, which is at pick 112. Round 5 could be an area at like 148, and maybe in round 6 at 208. Like, obviously round 7 as well. But to me, like, it starts at round 4. I don't really see them taking a receiver in round 3, round 2, round 1. Like, that's not where their energy is going to be. But Javon Baker out of UCF is a name that I continue to hear. One wide receiver that really impressed the Raiders at his own pro day and at the combine was Roman Wilson. On top of that, the Raiders obviously had some coaches at the Senior Bowl, which, from what I am told, they evaluate and like the Senior Bowl more than what they do the actual pro days and the combine. And Roman Wilson was one of the best, if not the best receiver at the Senior Bowl. And because of that, they think that he'd be able to fit his skill set pretty well. They also had a lot of coaches there at the Michigan Pro Day. Let's go to number 2, and this is where it starts to get pretty interesting. Malik Washington out of Virginia was a name that I heard probably like 6 weeks ago. The first time we heard him, and then we heard it again at Media Day. We heard it again at the Combine. But the Raiders are keeping some ties on Washington, the receiver from Virginia. Yeah, he's a little bit undersized at 5'8", 195 pounds, but dude can move, and dude's a good route runner. 110 grabs, 1,426 yards for the Cavaliers. But to me, there is one player, and you guys know my saying, where there's smoke, there's fire. And over the last 2-3 weeks, the amount of smoke around this player potentially being drafted by the Raiders, it just continues to grow and grow. So my question to you is, if you tell me, if the Raiders draft one wide receiver this year, who will it be? It's an extremely difficult conversation. It's an extremely difficult question. But if you were to put your chips, right, on the pile, you're putting all your chips in, who are you betting on? The guy that I'm betting on that the Raiders end up drafting if they decide to go with a wide receiver is Brendan Rice from USC. I think he fits exactly what they're trying to do. They're looking for a receiver that can do a bunch of different things. Obviously, he's a good route runner, got some good hands, tough, physical receiver, not afraid to block. But then, think about what Las Vegas is doing from a coaching standpoint, right? They're bringing in guys that have a lot of previous playing experience. And I also think that that's one of the reasons why you're going to see a dude like Brendan Rice get drafted maybe a little bit higher because of his experience with his dad. For those that don't know, his dad is Jerry Rice. And if you have those ties and you have those connections and you know, or your dad knows and you grew up around it, what it takes to potentially make it in the NFL, I think for a team like the Raiders that have been bringing in a lot of these past players, that weighs a little bit heavier to Pierce than to Lesko. So because of that, I'm confident saying that if the Raiders end up taking a receiver, the number one guy that I think they end up drafting is Brendan Rice from USC. Now, if you made it this far in the video, shout out to all of y'all. Remember, the Silver and Black, they re-signed Jordan Meredith. I think Brendan Rice is the most likely option that the Raiders draft. And with everything going on around Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice, we will do our best to keep you guys up to date on this entire situation because it does impact the Raiders. When your defending Super Bowl champs are in your division and they are winning as much as what Kansas City has, if they have a potential to lose their number one receiver, guess what? I'm going to talk about it here on the show. To make sure you don't miss it, subscribe, turn on those notifications, and then shout out to all the real ones out there. Will the Raiders draft a receiver in the top 3 rounds? Give me a yes. Give me a no down below. Chugs.
I think this solidifies Chiefs are going receiver in round 1.
I mean, if they legitimately lose Rashee Rice, even for 2 to 4 games, I'm with you that I think a guy like Xavier Worthy going to Kansas City scares the hell out of me.
I think one of the Texas receivers is going to Kansas City after this news. I think it's either A.D. Mitchell or Xavier Worthy. They fit in that area of where they're drafting.
Yeah.
The need is there. They need a wide receiver.
Sure.
I bet they would have loved to draft a cornerback now that they traded L'Jarius Sneed.
Yeah. True.
But now it's like, do they draft wide receiver or cornerback? Now, corner might be a bigger need because you don't have anybody that can make a corner look better. You don't have a Patrick Mahomes that's making your corners look better.
Sure.
So they might go corner in round 1, but it might be a press now whether or not they go corner or receiver in round 1.
I mean, with Patrick Mahomes, they probably think if we can win a Super Bowl last year with the receivers that we did, they could just plug and play.
Raphael, no way.
What?
He said now the Chiefs are going to try to trade up for Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, I mean, that's not going to happen. But Kansas City to get up there.
They have to give 3 firsts.
Probably.
Maybe more.
More than that. I mean, if the Raiders are giving up 3 firsts to move up, Kansas City's giving up a whole lot more.
Yeah.
The Chiefs, as long as they have Patrick Mahomes, I don't see them ever making a trade like that. Like, you don't need to.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason for you to make a trade like that. I got to switch, put on a new jersey here. So, shout out to Laz and Diaz. I can't even believe it's the month of April. March flew by.
Yeah.
The fact that it's 4 weeks, basically, until the NFL draft is pretty mind-blowing.
Dude.
I'm excited.
It's going to be wild.
Even less than that. What? On Thursday, this Thursday, it'll be 3 weeks away.
Mm-hmm.
Insane. All right, Chugs, give me 1 minute.
Let me know, will the Raiders draft a receiver in round 1? And actually, I'm going to put up this question because it has a little bit more to do with what we're about to talk about. Should the Raiders draft Michael Penix Jr.? Type D for draft, type P for pass. Let me know what you think at home. Should the Raiders draft Mr. Penix from Washington? I'm seeing a lot of D's in the chat. Lots of D's in the chat for Penix. Miggy says D. Steven says, give me the D. King Javier, I want all that D. Rick Aguilar, give me the D. Anik says D. Patrick says P. Gary Fake says D.
I mean, it's It's starting to become even more of a conversation. Like, I know that Jaden's the name that continuously gets brought up, but right now, and you guys can, let me know what you think. I think the conversations around Penix are starting to almost surpass Jaden. What?
I just see Luis in the chat. What's up, brother?
You guys, this thing is
pretty sketch.
I have yet to watch this guy that you always refer to. I don't even know if I want to.
Special teams, special plays, special players.
I don't know.
Meat on meat. Check Tuesday.
I just don't know if I want to support the worst version of Morty that I've ever heard.
Wait, Coop.
I don't know, man. Javier says JD's elbow looks nasty. He said it's all good, so no cap.
Tuesday. Check razor.
This is all I hear all day, just so you guys know.
I'm throwing darts and smoking darts. Joe Montana, crippling addiction. Let's go. 1-2, 1-2.
You guys are too much sometimes.
Evil Mr. Beast.
All right. Well, after all that, if you guys want to dislike the video, I don't mind. No, I'm just kidding. Hit that like button or else Queen Sarah Otto's going to find you. Something else that we are also going to be doing today is we got the Elite Eight for our March Madness bracket here. Raiders Report style. Winner of these 4 matchups will go to the Final Four, and somebody is going to win $1,600 here on the Raiders Report. Our first matchup is David Zahn going to be taking on Amy. Then Jose Corona up against Justin Gilbert. Troy Williams, Miggy Camacho, and we're going to round this one out with Lori Sandoval and James Guevara. Those are going to be the 4 races that we do today here on the Raiders Report.
We do have some more Super Chats, brother.
Let's get into them. PG, by fleeing, Rice avoided a felony. See, you don't know, and I don't know. We don't know the situation. The problem is the car was in his name. And because the car was in his name, I think that there is going to be something that ends up coming out of it.
I mean, and it's very common to let your friends race your extremely expensive car down the highway.
I know.
Very likely that.
I have been told that I have to say only the truth if we're going to talk about this today. Which
the truth and only the truth.
Which all we know right now is there was an accident Saturday, though I don't think it looks good for Rice, and I don't think he thinks it looks good either.
He must have been hanging out with Bow Wow because he's a little Tokyo Drift this past week.
Tokyo Drift. What a movie. How many more of them are they going to make?
When you see in Tokyo.
What up, John Rodriguez? I know what it is.
Maybe he's just practicing for the new GTA that's coming out.
Is that what it's called?
GTA Rashee Rice.
Oh, I thought you were GTA Hit and Run. Let's go to Eric Castro. I'll let you get that one.
No, you can say it.
What's up, brother?
What's up, brother?
When you started doing that 2 weeks ago to now where it is, it's kind of mind-blowing to me, man.
Dude, he's taking over the internet.
Also, Eric, I don't know if you know this, but your picture is... I don't think I would keep my picture if it was sideways like that. It would bother me to a point where I'd be like, I got to get a new pic. Yeah, it's kind of brutal. All right, let's do the very first race today, and then we are going to get into our first segment, which is my plan for Michael Penix Jr. if the Raiders do actually want to go out and draft him, because you have to put a plan together. And the reason why I say that is all NFL teams, if your quarterback's a lefty compared to if your quarterback's a righty, your offensive line has to make drastic changes, in my opinion, especially when your offensive line looks like the Raiders line. Like, if I ask you all right now, what is your confidence level in the Raiders offensive line if we were only talking about Colton Miller, Dylan Parham, Andre James, so the left side? What's your confidence level in that A, B, C, D, or F? Let me know down below. Then, what is your confidence level on a scale of 1 to 10 if I said Andre James, probably Jordan Meredith, and Thayer Munford is the right side? Like, when the confidence level is that drastic, left side to right side, and then you consider a righty thrower compared to a lefty thrower, and this is part of my discussion here when I talk about if you're going to put a plan together for Penix, there's a 0% chance. Like, if I was running the Raiders, Michael Penix Jr. is my quarterback, and I'm going to say, Yeah, I'm okay with Thayer. I'm okay with Jordan Meredith on the right side protecting his blind side. If you're okay with that, you're crazy. Jeremy Cole, strong side. That's right. All right, y'all. The first race of our Elite Eight for March Madness, the next race that we're going to do is going to be after the next segment. So 30 seconds on the clock. David Zahn up against Amy. Winner advances to the Final Four. This is going to be electric. Let me know who you got. If you're going to roll with Amy, spam Amy down below. If you're going to roll with David Zahn, Mount Raidermore, the only 1 seed left.
Wow.
I'll tell you what. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Let's let it ride here. Remember, the winner of our March Madness bracket wins $1,600. And I'm really not surprised that Amy's getting off here to a good start. She's been having some really solid races. The question is David Zahn going to be able to kick it in? Because Amy's she's taking this one. She's starting to pull away. Zahn's taking too long. Away.
No, Zahn!
Oh, my goodness.
Oh!
What a comeback. Dude. I mean, that's got to be the best comeback of the tournament. This is April.
A true Kim Kardashian story.
Step aside, Dayton.
This is April. I mean, that was unbelievable.
This is April.
It is. It is April. I'll tell you what.
Just kidding. This one doesn't count. April Fools.
Actually, this entire tournament, we waited to tell you guys now that this whole thing was just for fun. I mean, you got to give Zahn credit, which I love because I'm pretty sure I just saw down below. That one's rigged. That race was rigged. If we started rigging races now, that'd be a bad look. I will admit, though, if Zahn wins this thing, I'm actually nervous if Zahn wins it because I have a feeling he's going to make us do some wild shit if he does. We might be getting that one back. Matthew Y, rigged faux sure. I wish I could rig them. I really do. Which, if you guys want to do your own duck races, you can literally go on Google, type in duck races. Now, we pay for the premium one, which I don't think I would have ever paid for the premium version of this. However, you guys can also check it out and use it for your own well-being. I know. It's all good. We'll figure it out.
No, I can get him. Final Four.
Eric M., I know. That one was crazy. My dad says, congratulations to David Zahn. Gets the dub. I mean, it was an incredible comeback. Incredible comeback. So that means now David is awaiting in the Final Four. Kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy.
Whatever. We'll get it later.
Sounds good.
We'll get it.
Sounds.
We actually do have another super chat though to get to.
We do. It's from Adrian Rodriguez. Okay, this is interesting. I'm going to try to wrap my mind around this one.
What's up, brother?
That's what it says. I saw on Instagram a potential three-way trade. Jets trade pick 10 for Devontae, and Raiders trade pick 10, 13, a 2025 first pick potentially with pick 44. So I think there's multiple.
Also,
this is a creative trade, FKC.
Yep. What's up, brother?
The other part of this is 10, 13, and a 2025 first. I do actually think that would probably be enough for you to get up to pick number 3. The other thing, though, is if you're the Raiders, they've already said that they're not trading Devontae Adams. I mean, they've already said there's a 0% chance of that happening. And I believe Antonio Pierce. I believe in Telesco on top of that. So I'm going to say that, no, it's not going to happen. It is a creative idea around the Raiders potentially, going up and getting their guy. But then you're putting yourself, you go from having a good wide receiver room to then arguably the worst receiver room in the National Football League, and you're going to trade up for a quarterback and put him in the arguably the worst wide receiver room in the league because Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker, Christian Wilkerson, and DJ Turner. That would be your wide receiver room. That's a disaster. It is. That would be setting up your first-round pick for failure. You can't do what Carolina did last year to Bryce Young. I mean, you saw how that worked out. You can't afford to do that. So if I'm the Raiders, if you're legitimately going to draft a quarterback, you got to figure out a way to do it, and you got to be able to keep Devontae Adams, or else I don't really know how it makes sense. I don't know how. All right, y'all, let's get into our next segment here on the Raiders Report. What do you got for me?
One more question for you folks at home. If we did a duck race today, would you want it to be $10 or $20?
It's true.
Type 10 or type 20. We're going to decide that right now. What do you want? Do you want a $10 duck race or a $20 duck race? Let me know down in the comment section. Whatever I see more of, that's what we'll do.
Matthew wants a 50.
If everybody wants 50, then we'll do that. But I don't know if that'll be the consensus.
Yeah, that's usually not the one that gets picked the most.
I'm actually seeing more 20s than 10s.
Yeah? All right, let's do it.
All right.
Let's run it. All right, so the first race that we're going to do, probably the only duck race that we're going to do today for y'all, $20 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365. We'll do this one at the very, very end of today's show.
Navman said 100.
Try me, 10K. That would be nuts. Though I don't even think that they would allow me to do that.
What?
If we did like a race, which was, let's say, $1,000 race, they wouldn't even let me send that money.
No.
No, yeah, I don't even think that that's a possibility.
I think after 3 people sending you that, your Venmo would be like, yo, what's going on?
Hopefully.
Mitchell Renz,
yeah.
What's going on?
Adrian Rodriguez says, do you think that trade would open up room for Ayuk? It would open up room for Ayuk. Like, sure. You're still, though, going to be paying Ayuk, let's say, $25 million a year. It was reported that the Niners were looking for a first-round pick, which then you don't have anymore. If it also costs you, like, pick 44, like, I'm not going to give up a 20. I mean, you can't even use your 2025. You'd have to use probably then your second-round pick for Brandon Ayuk, pay him a lot of money. And I get it. It's a Antonio Pierce guy. I will also say, though, which this might be an unpopular opinion, if you were to ask, I think all 32 GMs, who would you rather have over the next 3 years, Devontae Adams or Brandon Ayuk, based on talent and their contract, I do actually think teams would pick Brandon. And I know he's got the ties with AP, but then again, it sends a bad message to your locker room. It sends a bad message to your players, especially guys that backed you up, and then especially when you said that there is a 0% chance that you're going to trade Devontae. If you break that trust in that locker room, because like right now, that's one of the biggest selling points that the Raiders have, is that trust in each other because of everything, that all the bullshit that happened last season with Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler. Like, you can't ruin that. Don't get me wrong, I love trades, I love rumors, I love all the speculation out there, but no, I don't see it happening. What if Ayuk goes to KC? That would be bad. Yeah, that one would be pretty freaking bad. I'm not going to lie. Justin Gilbert and Adrian, you guys are in, and since it is April, I don't know if y'all know this or not, but we have a brand new bang race going on. Have nobody in yet. I will say the winner of this month's bang race, since it's April, we've got a very, very special prize. I'll probably tell you guys about it next week or so, but very special prize on top of the jersey that you would already win. For the duck races, though, I see Justin Gilbert and Adrian. What do you got for me, Chugs? What are you looking at?
In other NFL news around potential criminals, Cam Sutton mugshot came out today.
Yeah, he turned himself in yesterday. I mean, I don't know. I don't see what's so hard about not being a shitty human being, but then again, it happens all the time. Eric.
There you go. Bigger fish this time, too, brother.
Oh, I get it. I didn't get now I get it. It's the picture. Bigger fish. Eric's just like, what's the biggest fish I have in my photo? Like, some people got other type of pictures. Eric's just like, I got them saved. All these fish photos. You want fish? I got them. Zach Bastion, $2 super chat. Shout out to you. Appreciate it.
Early bird gets the worm, brother.
Martin, where do you play Lizzo? I'm guessing you saw my post on Facebook. I think with the signing of...
You bullied her too much.
Well, no, on Raiders Facebook, Raiders signed Lizzo. to play right guard. But now Jordan Meredith re-signed.
Did you hear what happened?
I heard she quit music.
She quit music because she was getting bullied too much. She actually said by you and Graf.
Oh, by me and Graf. That makes sense. Hate to see it, I guess. Hate to see it.
Effed up, man.
That whole situation. I'll tell you what. I don't follow pop culture a lot. That was an interesting situation.
Would you come out and apologize?
For what?
For making fun of Lizzo?
I mean, sure. Yeah. If she literally was like, Mitchell Renz and Graphic Raider forced me to quit music, I would apologize. Yep, sure. At that point, I got nothing to win. I got nothing to lose. Though, did she ever apologize?
Oh, that is a good question. I don't know if she did. She did some pretty shitty things as well.
Yeah.
Allegedly. She allegedly did some shitty things. We can't say, even if we have photos of her at the scene doing shitty things, we can't say that it was her.
Very true.
Zahn, yeah, you missed your race. It was epic.
Zahn, it's probably one of the greatest races I've ever seen on this show. Like, no cap. It was a one for the ages. Jamari Murray, you in, and then I see 93 Navman also in, which means $20 Venmo right now for a chance to win $40. All right, Jeremy. Let's get into this next show, which is around my plan for the Raiders if they do legitimately want to go out and get Michael Penix Jr., because you have to put a plan together. Like, you got to be able to put something together. There's a lot of things that still have to happen in these next 3 weeks to me if you legitimately want to have a proper plan to go get Penix, because it's totally different than drafting a Jaden Daniels. Drafting a lefty in the NFL is different than drafting a righty. I know. Call me crazy. You ready?
I'm ready.
Jeremy's ready to get this one going. Coming up right now, my plan of what the Raiders need to do if their plan is to draft Michael Penix Jr.
Starting the video, brother.
Raider Nation, I want you to call the shots. Should the Raiders draft Michael Penix Jr.? Type D for draft, type P for pass. Coming up here on today's show is my plan that Telesco and Antonio Pierce need to look at if they legitimately want to draft the quarterback out of Washington. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and today's show is presented by Panda Sups. Use code Raiders to save 20% off at pandasups.com. And these guys have been around for about 4 years now on this show, owned and operated by a Raiders fan. So if you're a big believer in, hey, I'm going to take care of my own, and you want to take care of yourself, go to pandasups.com, code Raiders for 20% off. So coming up here, I have put together a list of things, and basically 5 things that the Raiders need to do if they plan on drafting Michael Penix Jr. I made this show because I've made so many videos over the course of this month, 2 months, around the Raiders potentially trading up for Jaden Daniels. We know that that is not very likely to happen. Can it still happen? Of course it can still happen. But I'm a big believer that you got to put some plans together. And if we know that Jaden is plan A, well then I want the Silver and Black to start putting a plan together for plan B for Michael Penix Jr., because realistically, it's not too much different from Jaden. It's just how you end up executing that from top to bottom. Now, the reason why that I'm talking about this is because if you were to ask me which QB do I believe is the most likely to get drafted by the Raiders on draft night, I'm saying it's Penix, because it's the easiest guy that you're going to be able to get at 13. I do think that McCarthy, Drake May, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels are all gone in the top 10. So this is the one QB that I would say is the most likely and the best option for you to get at pick number 13. The Raiders, they met with Penix for a top 30 visit. They were at his pro day, and I know that they want to find that franchise quarterback. I know that this is a team that values mobility, and a lot of people said, oh, he can't run. Dude just ran a 4.5 40 at his own pro day. He's not a mobile, like he's not going to tuck it and run it, but he does have that ability to do it. He can throw it all over the football field. I think he would be a pretty good pairing in an offense that Luke Getsy likes to end up running. So when you look at some of the numbers that this guy has put up over the past 2 seasons, like the biggest red flag on him was the injuries. Is he going to be able to stay healthy? Are the Raiders going to be able to keep him upright? And based on the medical checks from the combine and from his pro day, nobody is worried anymore, it seems like, around Penix and the medical. Like, yeah, you're always going to have ACL issues, but if everything checks out and if reports are true that NFL teams are not worried about the injuries, Penix could end up being the steal of this draft. And one of the guys that I really evaluate or value their opinion on quarterbacks and players in general, Lance Zierlein. This is what he had to say on Michael Penix Jr. Penix will be a 24-year-old rookie with a history of season-ending injuries at Indiana and impressive production while at Washington. The Huskies' offense design helped declutter coverages for Penix, allowing him to throw a higher number of intermediate and deep passes. He plays with smart pocket mobility and a willingness to get rid of the football, which makes it difficult to sack him. His delivery is bundled and his release point is very low, but his monster game against Texas showed flashes of impeccable touch. Penix has plenty of arm, but needs to work with more consistent timing between the numbers to eliminate unnecessary contested throws. He's a pocket passer who was ineffective in 2023 when defenses were able to crank up the heat and make him move his feet. Playing in a shotgun-based spread attack might give him the best chance to succeed, but he needs to prove he can thrive outside of the Washington offense and stay free of injury. Now, everything that Zierlein says in there, I do agree. And when you look at that tape from him at Texas, you're like, that's like the best quarterback I've ever seen in college. He was unbelievable in that Texas game. Then Michigan, they crank up the heat. They get after him a little bit, and he was definitely a lot more flustered. I think Penix in the right system can be successful. I am curious to see if the Raiders were to draft him, if it's a dude that you let sit for a year and then you hand him the keys to the car the following year. Maybe that's one of the reasons why they brought in a Gardner Minshew. The bottom line, though, is Michael Penix Jr. to the Las Vegas Raiders is gaining steam, and I hope that Telesco and Antonio Pierce have a plan in place. If they don't, well, hey, hit that subscribe button because I got my plan in place. If you guys want videos every single day around the silver and black, I got you covered. When breaking news happens, we got you covered. Or if you just bleed silver and black and you want to hang out with a bunch of Raider fans, there's a reason why we have over 167,000 subs. We got that dedication. We got that commitment to excellence, and hopefully y'all agree with that. So here's my plan if the Raiders want to draft Penix. One of the first things that I'm doing is I'm going to go out and I'm going to sign a corner. And when you think about this timeline, at the moment that I'm making this video, the draft's about 3 weeks away. So leading up to that event, I want to make sure that if I had a certain plan, and for Antonio Pierce, he said finding a cornerback one is a priority. The reason why I'm going to go out and I'm going to sign a corner is because if Penix is going to be your pick, you're probably going to have to take him at 13, or you're going to have to trade back up into the back end of round 1 because I think the days of him being available at pick 44, it's not really going to happen. And if the Raiders want to have to trade up from pick 44, obviously it's going to cost you pick 44, and it's probably also going to cost you pick 77 on top of that. So if Penix is your target, to me, the other thing that you got to potentially think about is if I'm going to take him at 13, cool. Or if I do want to trade back up, I'm going to take an offensive tackle, probably a right tackle, to protect Penix's blind side. With all that being said, you're not going to get a Quinion Mitchell. You're not going to get a Terrion Arnold. You're probably not going to get a corner in the first 3 rounds of this draft, which means you have to look at free agency. The names that I'm looking at in free agency, the number one name is Xavier Howard. Like, Xavier Howard has ties with Patrick Graham. He's got ties with Rob Leonard. He's got ties with a bunch of Raiders players that are on this team from previous times. With Miami, the best seasons he's ever had. Gerald Alexander was working with the DBs down in Miami where he had 15 interceptions in 2 seasons. If you don't want to spend so much money on Howard, another name to keep in mind is Adoree Jackson. This is the more of the cheaper type of play. Like, Howard could be a legit cornerback one. I don't know if Adoree Jackson can, and I would look at this as a Meek Robertson replacement. If you told me I got to spend $5 million on Jackson, he can be basically a Meek Robertson for me, a little bit better, that's good money invested. Another name to at least throw out there is Steven Nelson, which doesn't have as many ties, but has played in so many different systems, is 31 years old, can be a reliable veteran, played over 1,000 snaps the past, I want to say 3 seasons, has played in at least 15 games in every year since 2018. So if you wanted to go out and look at those 3 players, those would be the guys that I would sign if you are legitimately considering going out and drafting Michael Penix Jr., going out and even drafting Jaden, because if you end up drafting Jaden or Penix, you're probably not going to have that opportunity to get one of those lockdown corners that you would usually like to try to get in the first round of the draft. Let's go to this next one, and this is a little bit of a weird one, but I want to have a conversation with our offensive line. And to me, you got to be able to have that combo of, are you okay if we rearrange things here based on us potentially drafting a lefty quarterback, because I want somebody, my best offensive lineman, to protect the blind side. So the first question is, I'm going up to Colton Miller, and I'm going, hey, Colton, I know the last time that you played right tackle was at UCLA back in 2016. Are you okay with going and protecting Penix's blind side, playing on the right side? Because typically, right tackles get paid less than left tackles. Why? Blind side, most quarterbacks are right-handed throwers. But if it helps out the team, will Colton Miller do that? If he goes, yeah, man, I'm down. Okay, awesome. If he's not down to do it, that puts even more of a concentration on right tackle. My other question would be, will Dylan Parham play right guard? Like, yeah, you re-signed Jordan Meredith. I don't want Jordan Meredith playing right guard protecting Penix's blind side. What I want to end up happening is you have then Colton on the right side, you have Parham on the right side, then you got to figure out your left guard situation, and then you got to ask Thayer Munford. Like, Munford I thought looked better on the left side. Hey, Thayer, if Colton's okay playing right, are you okay playing left? With Munford, of course, is going to say yes. Or is he okay with playing an offensive guard position? If your offensive line is not okay doing what's best for the overall team, well, then you might have to stick with Colton on one side, and that makes it even the right tackle spot that much more important that you have to get right in the NFL draft. But I thought this would be a fun question, right? If Michael Penix Jr. is your quarterback and you're protecting his blind side, this is a QB you're drafting up high, who would you have more confidence to protect his blind side? Colton Miller, type KM, who is the left tackle for the Raiders, or Thayer Munford, type TM, who played right tackle last season at times when Jermaine was unable to? Who would you have more confidence in at right tackle? Colton Miller, Thayer Munford? Let me know down below. My answer would be Colton Miller, and to be honest with you, I don't want to say that it's not close, but what's not close is my confidence level in Colton Miller on the right side, Thayer Munford on the left. That's the best scenario, I think, for the Raiders' offensive line. Like, I have more confidence in Colton on the left side than I do Thayer. But in this type of conversation, if I'm going to kick Colton over to the right side, like, I have more confidence in the Raiders' offensive line if Colton's playing right tackle and Thayer's playing left, compared to if Colton's playing left and Thayer's playing on the right side. So if you got to mix and match here a little bit, I'm okay with it. And what I would rather have is Dylan Parham get kicked over to the right side as well. Your best offensive lineman should be protecting your blind side, especially when they're a quarterback like Penix, who has shown you that, you know what, when he gets pressured, he's a little bit of a different QB. Next thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to target an offensive tackle at pick number 13. If you're going to be in Vegas, sometimes you got to roll the dice. And I will continue to say, if you want to take down Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, if you want to be that next Super Bowl caliber team, sometimes you got to take a few risks. And if I'm the Raiders, I am taking the best offensive tackle at pick number 13. And if somebody like Olu Fashanu is there, somebody like a Joe Alt slides to you at 13, you draft them and you say, hey, Colton, you're going to the right side. Hey, Thayer, you're going to end up playing offensive guard. We'll figure it out from there on out. Or you just draft Talisi Fuaga, you drafted J.C. Latham, you put them on the right side, let them cook at offensive tackle, and with that equation, then this is where you already know that you're probably going to have to trade back up into the back end of the first round, give it up pick 44, give it up pick 77, and then you got to go get your quarterback in Penix Jr. because he's not going to be there at pick 44. The reason why, though, that I am targeting offensive tackles in the draft is because tackles in this year's draft are much stronger than what they are in free agency. And if you want to find an extra offensive lineman in free agency, I would just go sign somebody cheap like a Dalton Reisner, put them at left guard. If you're like, no, I'm confident in Thayer, I'm confident in Colt Miller playing the tackles, well, then go sign Dalton Reisner, put him at left guard, and then kick Dylan Parham over to the right guard spot. But to me, I'm thinking, what do I want? I want the best offensive line possible. To me, the best offensive line that the Raiders can possibly put on the field, and if Telesco's a guy that wants to win in the trenches, it starts with a Talisi Fuaga at right tackle, and then a Dylan Parham at guard, a Thayer Munford at guard, an Andre James at center, a Colton Miller at tackle. I want somebody like a J.C. Latham, an Amarius Mims, a Tyler Guyton. Like, these would be names. These would be the two names that I would like to be able to get at 13. If the Raiders wanted to, okay, hear me out, wanted to draft Penix at 13, wouldn't be the idea that I would go with, but wanted to potentially look at one of these other options as a potential trade-up for candidate. Could be names in Amarius Mims, Tyler Guyton. And then the other one where if you're like, well, I got to trade up for Penix, could I potentially get a Roger Rosengarter, the dude who already protected Penix's blind side at Washington? Could you get him in round 3? Maybe round 4. And that's where you could target it. if I'm the Raiders, these are the top right tackles that I'm looking for these are the top right tackles I'm looking for in the draft, based on value, based on fit, especially if you're playing as a draft Penix. All right, so we got some more coming up here in just a minute, but I do want to give you guys a little bit of love here and a shout out to our sponsor, Panda Supps. And Panda Supps, I think, has the best tasting protein on the market. My new favorite protein, and I don't care where you guys get your protein from, Panda Supps, this fuel and their mint chocolate chip, it's unbelievably good, and I can't even tell you how good it is. Like, when you eat it, you literally like, there's no way this is healthy for me. Best part is, it is 30 grams of protein. You're only looking at about 150 calories per scoop. I also love it because it's multi-stage protein, and some of you are like, what does that mean? Like, I can eat it after a workout, and I feel like it fuels your body, fuels your muscles, get the most bang for your buck. On top of that, though, I've been trying to lose some weight, and I've been looking for meal replacements. And during the week recently, I'll be honest with y'all, Monday through Thursday, I try to eat nothing besides Panda Supps protein shakes. And over the past 2.5 weeks, now Easter kind of kicked my butt here, but over the last 2.5 weeks, I've lost close to 15 to 20 pounds. And sometimes when I do things, I go a little bit crazy, but I also love all Panda Supps protein, whether it's their chocolate, their vanilla, their fruity, their cinnamon toast, their mint chocolate chip. I mean, these guys put out products that I think once you try it, you're like, all right, yeah, I get why Mitch has been talking about these guys for 4 years. Go give it a shot. The link's going to be available to y'all down in the comments and down in the description of today's show. Shout out to Panda Supps for hooking up the nation. Remember, code Raiders, 20% off, pandasupps.com. All right, we're going to keep this thing rolling with my plan to go get Michael Penix Jr. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to trade a defensive tackle on our roster. And there's a few names that I can entertain, but there are really like 2 names that I am picking up the phone and I'm going, who wants these guys? I'm going to try to trade them because the Las Vegas Raiders have really solid depth at the defensive tackle position, which I laugh saying because I just can't even believe I'm saying it. And I'm happy that I finally get to say it. But you decided to invest your money in Christian Wilkins. You also decided to bring back John Jenkins, Adam Butler, 2 of your best defensive tackles last season. And based on, reports, based on everything that I hear, Tyree Wilson's going to get some run at the defensive tackle spot as well, which means, what does that mean for a Byron Young, a Marquand McCall, a Matthew Butler, a Nesta Jade-Silvera? Call me crazy, but due to the connections that Nesta Jade-Silvera has, I actually think that he has a better shot of coming back. And then Marquand McCall is such a massive human being that was signed by Antonio Pierce when he took over. There's a part of me that wonders if he's going to retain. So, like, the 2 names to me that you're probably going to get the most value from out of those 4 names, the first one is Byron Young, who the Raiders drafted in round 3 just last season out of Alabama. The fact that he was a 3rd-round pick, the fact that he's from Alabama tells me that you probably can get a 6th-round pick value for Byron Young. And, yeah, you're going to have to eat a little bit of money. So what? Let's say you get a 6th-round pick for Young, and you're going to have to trade. Let's say you traded up pick 44, pick 77, and you had less draft picks early on. If I was the Raiders, then I'm trying to stockpile some of those extra 6th-rounders, some of those extra 7th-rounders to make up for some of the potential picks that I've lost due to my trade up for a Michael Penix Jr. And then you could do what the Raiders have kind of done in years past where they're like, all right, I got 2 6s, I got 2 7s, I'm going to trade up and move back up into the 5th round to get a certain player that I really like. So Byron Young is one name to go out there and throw out there. The other name that I'll say is Matthew Butler. And, Butler was one of those guys that we did a video on him probably at this point last offseason, almost a whole year ago. And we were like, Matthew Butler and Neil Farrell Jr. aren't going to be on the Raiders 53-man roster. People got mad at us. It was something that we were told by a player, essentially. And Matthew, from what I understand, has started to do a better job of going out there and proving that he wants to be there. But, also actions speak louder than words. And the Raiders' actions this offseason told me that they're not very confident in Matthew Butler and Byron Young. So if you don't know if they're going to make the roster, trade them for literally anything, and then you can use those draft picks on just extra bodies based on picks that you might lose trying to go up and get a QB. The last thing that I'm going to do is more of a smoke screen, but I kind of want AP to do a little bit of a better job. Don't get me wrong. It makes my job easier when they speak their truth because they're like, we want Jaden Daniels, and they have not shied away from that. Everybody in the world knows that the Raiders want Jaden. So why don't we start hyping up some other quarterbacks? You kind of saw AP do it the other day with J.J. McCarthy where he's like, oh, he's no doubt a top 3 quarterback. He's a national champion. I want them to start hyping up Bo Nix, J.J. McCarthy. Hell, I want him to hype up everybody that's not named Jaden Daniels and not named Penix, because I don't think that they're going to get Drake May. I know that they're not going to get Caleb Williams. But in my scenario, the way that the Raiders failed this year's draft is if they take J.J. McCarthy at pick 13 or if they take Bo Nix in the first round. If you do one of those things, to me, you're going to get an F grade from me from my Raiders mock draft, from a Raiders draft standpoint. And I really, really hope that that doesn't happen. So because of that, to avoid the Raiders not setting themselves back, hype up Bo, hype up McCarthy, take all the attention away from Michael Penix Jr., make people think that you don't even want him. Then you swoop in, and then you end up taking him. So in conclusion, the Raiders, they got to have a plan B. You got to be ready in case the glass breaks of emergency. You need to have all of your options out there. But I also do believe that the Raiders can't just sit around until draft day and then make their decisions. Let's start being a little bit proactive here, Silver and Black. And, let's go out and do some of the things that I mentioned. Signing a corner, adding a little bit more depth on your offensive line. Yeah, they kind of did it in Jordan Meredith, but I want even more depth. I want you to have that conversation with your O-line. Are you guys okay switching around? Because I don't want to draft Penix with the idea that, Colt Miller's going to be okay with it, and then you find out that he's not okay with it. That's not a good recipe for success. This allows the Raiders to not trade the farm for a quarterback, which is one of the things that is becoming more and more likely for the Raiders on why they might end up picking Michael Penix Jr. in 2024. Oh, man. Overall grade you would give Penix, scale it from 1 to 100. So you're talking like Madden?
I'm talking Madden. If you were the Madden creator, Penix gets drafted by the Raiders.
Okay.
What are you giving him his overall for his rookie year? Normally, the guys who get drafted are anywhere from 65 to 80 is usually the range for a rookie quarterback. 80 being like Caleb Williams, they think he's already an amazing starter for
I would say then 74, 75. Aiden's probably, Aiden and Gardner, Minshew, and Michael Penix would all be in that 73 to 78 range.
Yeah.
They're all right around there. Again, I don't play Madden a lot.
Venom Sosa.
What's up? Also, I don't know if you saw what happened.
Oh, actually, I forgot about it for a second, but now I think I know what you're talking about.
You guys know what I'm talking about? Lord Cameron Abbott Bang! The first one of April, and that puts Lord Cameron Abbott in the lead for our Bang MVP. I'll tell you this, what we're giving away this month is going to be pretty cool. I'm not going to tell you yet, but it is pretty cool. Also, Jeremy and I did get a brand new game that we're going to be able to show y'all on the draft, which we might incorporate it a few times on the show before.
Do we, or do we save it?
You want to save it for the draft?
I think it's really cool.
Oh, you guys are going to lose your mind. I'm telling you right now, you guys are going to lose your mind when you see what we get. Yep, Raphael, you're not wrong there. To the 731 people here, if you haven't already, click that like button. And if you want to shout out here, spam LCA right now. I got to switch my jersey here. I got one more that I got to rock. We got another segment. We got a few more duck races. Then we're going to do our other duck race for some money. Remember, $20 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365. Right now, the winner would get $40.
Zach Bastian. Hey, Mitch and Chugs. I'll be in Fort Worth, Dallas area, the 10th through 17th. What's the chance we could chug a beer? Well, it all depends, our schedule. But, usually we always say, if you're down, if you want to come meet us somewhere after work, we obviously, that's during the work week, so we will be working that week. But if you're open to meeting after work or on a weekend or something, me and Mitch are usually down.
I would say we'd have to look at our schedule. We don't have our schedule yet for the 10th to the 17th, not to my knowledge. I'll say we'd have to do it during the work week, kind of like what Chugs just said. Also, you saying that you're in the Fort Worth, Dallas area.
That's a lot of area.
I would say it's a very big area. A lot of traffic. I also know that this upcoming weekend and next weekend, I am fully booked. I got to look at apartment complexes. So.
Oh, you're moving again?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Don't like this place.
It's just we bought it for certain reasons. New management is kind of taken over, and we can't do some of the things that we were like originally told. So.
Oh, like a grill or something?
No, honestly, it's like the turf area with Chuck. Like we bought that. We've been kind of getting people complaining about dogs being on like the turf. So I was like, yeah, believe me, I don't even want to get into it. So we were able to meet halfway. We're leaving.
What else would the turf area be for?
Well, it's because other dog owners have allowed their dogs to go to the bathroom on it and don't clean it up. So now it's like all dogs are punished for it. So I was just basically like, we went out. So we're leaving.
Yeah.
We're going to be out of there in like 30-ish days, so we have to fast track it.
Oh, you're like breaking your lease.
Kind of. Because I sent them I told them that I was upset. They met with me in the middle. So we're breaking our lease, but we're not getting charged. So
still walking distance to the office?
Hopefully. So we got to check out apartments the next two weeks. But bottom line, Zach, I'm with Chugs. Like, if you're in the area and you hit us up, like, I was waiting for Chance at the Nodding Donkey at 9 p.m. Chance wasn't there.
Really?
He didn't show up. Ghosted me. Though I was we started to get carried away a little bit at the Donk. There was a bit of a group there. Some drinks were flowing. Found out Cullen's never had a cannoli before. It was unbelievable.
How did that come up?
What, now or just in general?
Yeah.
It was probably the one thing that was just the most mind blown from the whole night. Cullen never had a cannoli.
I feel like a lot of people haven't had a cannoli. I feel like cannolis.
Have you guys had a cannoli? Y for yes, N for no.
Cannolis aren't very common.
God, dude, they're so good. A good cannoli is hard to beat. All right, I love cannolis. It's one of my favorite desserts.
I'm not a huge fan of them. Maybe I haven't had a good one.
Maybe.
I've had a couple cannolis.
So I door dashed some cannolis to the Donk.
What, did he like them or?
Mm-hmm. They were good. Yeah, I got a few for a few people. They were good though.
Like on the list of desserts, it's not high up for me.
I think
like
it depends.
Cake, cheesecake, pie, ice cream, brownies, anything chocolate above cannoli.
Wow. 93 Navman! Bang! What's up, Navman? What is up, Mr. Navman?
Oh, with the line we have currently, I do not think the challenge on LH... Wait, what? I do not think the challenge on LHQB.
Left-handed.
QB would be an O-line worry. They all were number ones where they came from. I think wide receiver adjustment on spin is more challenging.
Raiders! I do think that spin is a lot more challenging than what people think. Also, you know, lefties have natural tail. Like, that ball moves a lot differently, especially like on a deep ball. Like, I'm telling you right now, on a deep ball, it's a totally different type of trajectory path, and that is going to take some getting used to. But quarterbacks would be an O-line worry. They were all number ones where they came from. Are you saying that you wouldn't be nervous in the Raiders' offensive line? Is that what I'm reading?
I think so.
See, I would be. Like, I would be nervous because is Thayer Munford a legit starting offensive lineman in the NFL? That remains to be seen. The Raiders don't have a right guard, so there's your answer there. Like, if you are going to legitimately draft a QB that shows you that when he gets hit with pressure, and I know all quarterbacks get flustered, but especially a guy that's had the injury concerns, recent games, has struggled with due to pressure, like, how are you not going to build a solid right side of your offensive line there?
Yeah.
I hear you. I would be nervous, though. What up, Cowboy? What's a cannoli? Wyoming doesn't have those.
I feel like cannoli's like a Northeast thing.
Probably.
Like,
it's an Italian dessert.
Yeah, Smitty, do you like a cannoli? Northeast, right? Yeah, Allie probably likes cannoli. Yeah. I just think maybe I haven't had a good one. I told Mitch, I think they're a little overrated.
Okay.
I think like all these things, all these desserts I would have before cannoli. Cake, pie, cheesecake, brownies, churros, sopapillas. I would have all those before cannoli.
I'll also say, like, you should try cannolis that are also, like, different flavors. Like, my favorite
I've only
place.
had ones with, like, little chocolate chips in them.
Yeah, I mean, they're good. Like, that's, like, the basic one. But there was a place I used to go to in Boston all the time. Like, they had hundreds of different kinds of cannolis, which. Yeah.
Name one savory cannoli.
I've only had sweet ones.
I don't know how that would be.
I have once had a Nutella cannoli. Dude. It was unbelievable.
I would go donuts over cannoli. I don't like. I've never eaten a cannoli and been like, oh, that was nasty. I just think like I eat it and I'm just like, it's good.
I'm with Miggy here. Like if I get a cannoli and a cup of coffee, dude, I'm doing some damage.
Like I'd rather have cookies.
It depends what kind of cookie. Like what could I eat more consistently? Chocolate chip cookie. However, do you ever have something that's like nostalgic to you or like special?
The pink and white animal crackers.
See, I was thinking more like my family would get cannolis for like Christmas time.
Oh,
special occasion.
The peanut butter candies I make. I only make them during Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I mean, so when you eat it, you're like, it's like got that extra. It's kind of hard to put into words. Miggy, though, are you nervous for your race today, Miggy?
It tastes like I need to clean my room or my parents are going to yell at me.
What does that mean?
Nostalgia.
Oh.
You taste it and you're just like, I better clean my room or my mom's going to take away my PS2.
Better go mow the grass. Miggy, shout out to you. Jagger, they are absolutely disgusting. Difference in taste. There's no way that anybody's ever had a cannoli and they're like, that's disgusting. I will say that there's different, like Marshall thought that the cannolis were, like the outside breading or whatever, was supposed to be like mushy, like not crunchy.
And see, I've had ones that aren't good where it's like not crunchy on the outside.
And that's like the first thing. As soon as you bite into it, if you don't feel like that crunch, it's a shitty cannoli.
Yeah.
It's a bag. Like,
how are the cannolis that you ordered?
Very good. I knew where to get them from.
Where'd you go?
North Italia, I think is the name. Uber Eats them in. Yeah, they hit. They hit. All right, y'all. The next Elite 8 race that we got coming up here is going to be between Jose Corona and Justin Gilbert. Winner will take on David Zahn. Can you update it or is it not working right?
It's not working right now. But
okay. All right, so David Zahn took down Amy in the very first race today.
I have it written down, though.
Okay. So the winner of Jose Corona will be taking on, or the winner of Jose Corona and Justin Gilbert, excuse me, will be taking on David Zahn in the Final Four. This is going to be electric. We got
I don't know
one
if we've
more
ever had
segment
a
coming up.
14 seed.
I don't think a 14 seed has ever made it to the Final Four. That's correct. The highest seed ever to win a Final Four, to win the March Madness, is a 9 seed. So we could get some history. Troy Williams, Miggy, Lori, James, all those coming up here in a little bit. All right, so it looks like we have a donut and then a melted cannoli in a bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's go with that. Winner of this one will go to the Final Four to take on David Zahn. You ready?
I'm ready.
You guys ready? Let me know who you got. You going to roll with Justin Gilbert, type G. If you're going to go with Jose Corona, type C. 3, 2, 1, let it ride. Ah, man. I'll tell you this right now. If you saw food moving across, this looks like...
I was hoping that we would get a cannoli.
I have no idea what background this is.
Jose Corona's in the lead, though.
Jose Corona by a spoon. I don't know if Justin Gilbert's going to... Oh, wait a minute. Shred some sprinkles here. I think Jose's going to have enough. Justin Gilbert, the Cinderella story ends right here. Jose Corona with the dub, taking on David Zahn in the Final Four. Jose Corona, Zahn, how does it feel to be 2 races away, 2 wins away from $1,600. Congrats! Justin, very close race, man. Very, very close race right there.
Damn.
Ah, dude. That one was good. JC does it. Number 9. Nina. I don't know. JC does it.
Do you have anybody else that's entered our race so far?
I don't know. Is JC does it? Are you Jose Corona? Is that what the JC stands for?
Maybe.
I actually don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know.
If you want to get in a race at the end of the show, though.
I think my dad accidentally got auto-corrected.
What did your dad say?
That's the only way that there's an explanation there.
I don't see your dad.
My dad's comment underneath Matthew Y, underneath Miggy Camacho.
Congratulations, Jose Coronavirus.
It's the only explanation. Dad, honestly, did you get auto-corrected there? I just picture him typing that out, not really being able to see, hitting send, and then being like, oh, crap.
That's freaking funny.
Dude, that's, okay, yeah, JC does it. Yeah, that's me, Mitch. Shout out from California. That's cool.
California love.
So JC does it is Jose Corona. Or Jose Coronavirus.
California.
That's brutal. That's
knows
hilarious.
how to party.
All right, y'all. Next segment coming up here on the Raiders Report.
California.
Let's talk about some trades
knows
that
how
the
to
Raiders could
party.
potentially do in
city.
round 1. You all right?
City of Compton. In the city.
Dude, Martin, I love getting tagged in all these like random things from Martin.
Oh, on X.
Yeah. On the X.
Keep it rocking.
Knows how to party. All right. Final segment. You ready? Sponsored Game Time. Remember, y'all, if you want in for a chance to win some money today, $20 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365. We're going to do this duck race at the very, very end of today's show. Right now, as it stands, winner gets $40. Winner gets $40. Can you double your money? Time will tell. Real Cowboy, who you got tonight? Iowa or LSU? I think LSU is going to win again. I really do. Like, Caitlin Clark is probably the best women's college basketball player I've ever seen. Legitimately, I think she's the best I've ever seen.
She's the best I ever had.
But I do think LSU is the better team. Like, maybe that's crazy for me to say, lower seed. I think they're the tougher team too. I mean, I think that's going to go into it. It's going to be the most watched women's college basketball game of all time. No doubt. What up, Odyssey World? Matthew Y, Shava, Martin, 93 Navman. Going to roll with Iowa. Coming up. Oh, wait. I see Jose Corona wants to get in this duck race here.
I see London.
I see France. I did, actually. You ready?
I'm ready.
Final segment coming up here on the Raiders Report in 3, 2, 1. Let's get it going. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. And coming up on today's show, I got 5 trades the Raiders could make in round 1 of the 2024 NFL Draft. I feel like a lot of times we talk about trading up. We talk about trading back. I also got some trades that the Silver and Black could do getting back in to round 1. Bottom line, we're going to be looking for a quarterback. I anticipate that we're going to be aggressive. And with that, I need Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco to show up on draft night. I also need y'all to show up on draft night. If you want Raiders draft videos leading up to the big day, we're like 3 weeks away. Hit that subscribe button. If you want to join Jeremy Chuggs and I on our draft coverage, we're going to be live for every single pick, every single round. We're going to get the picks before you see them on TV. Tons and tons of giveaways on top of that. I don't want you to miss it, so hit that subscribe button. All right, here we go. These are the 5 trades that I've kind of thrown together, and some of you have probably already seen before in some regard. I'm also going to say, though, why it makes sense for the Raiders and why it makes sense for the opposing team. Raiders trading up to number 3 with the New England Patriots. And I know that if the Raiders make a trade, we should say this right off the jump, it is either going to be for Jaden Daniels going up and getting him, or you're going to make a trade to stockpile some picks, and at some point, you will then trade back up to go get your franchise quarterback. So why the New England Patriots trade back and why the Raiders would trade up? I mean, the Raiders would trade up for Jaden Daniels. Like, that's your answer here. It's the only thing that makes sense to me. There has been reports that New England is open to trading back. Gerard Mayo last week said, honestly, the guaranteed way to win is to accumulate more picks. I also think that this could be a determining factor if New England wants to trade back, because what if the quarterback is there that they don't love? I mean, one of the things that Mayo said was like, if our guy's not there, we have to be open to the idea of moving back. And I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Caleb Williams is the number 1 quarterback drafted. Then number 2 off the board is either Drake May or J.J. McCarthy. And then what happens if New England was all in on Drake May and the Commanders take him, right? I'll say that I know there's been a lot of hype, a lot of speculation out there, but to me, if there's a possibility that the Raiders trade up, they're obviously going to at least try to do it. So my trade idea here is this. And if you're Las Vegas, you got to be open to the idea of trading 3 first-round picks if you want to move up to go get your guy at number 3. And if I'm the Patriots here, this helps you stockpile your next 3 years. You're also going to have to throw in pick number 77, so that 3rd-round pick, and then a 3rd-round pick in 2025 on top of that. When you look at the trade value chart, when you think about how much it's going to cost this year in particular, if I was the Raiders, I would be okay giving up 3 firsts, because if it doesn't work out, if you're AP and Telesco, then 2026 isn't really going to matter. But to everybody out there, are you okay with giving up 3 first-round picks for a quarterback like Jaden Daniels? So that's my question here. I want everyone to go out and answer, because if you're on the realm of, no, I'm not giving up 3 first-round picks for Jaden Daniels, then, hey, so be it. Give me a yes, give me a no. Let me know what you guys are thinking, because for me, I am okay with it. I know that everyone is always going to hit me with, Mitch, what if he's a bust? I don't think he's going to be a bust. And I wouldn't tell anybody to trade 3 first-round picks if there was a chance of a guy being a bust. Don't get me wrong. There's always a little bit of a chance. But I am so confident in Jaden working with Antonio Pierce. I'm so confident in Jaden Daniels working with the Las Vegas Raiders that I don't look at it as, what if he doesn't hit? I look at it as, we're just going to pay a lot to get exactly what we want. And I'm the type of person, I'm okay paying a lot to get exactly what I want. So here are some other trade up to number 3 candidates out there. It has been speculated that the Giants at pick 6 could be a team to watch. The Vikings, to me, are 100% going to trade up, whether it's at pick 3 or at pick 4. They've already made the right moves, and to me, it's either Drake May or J.J. McCarthy for them. The Broncos have been noted that they're going to be aggressive, and then the Raiders at 13, I would say, are your top 4 teams to trade up for a quarterback. Let's go to trade up to number 4 here with the Arizona Cardinals, and it's already been noted that Arizona could potentially be listening to some picks out there. But what I always try to do here is give you guys like different trade ideas compared to some videos that I've put out there before. Why the Cardinals would trade and why the Raiders would make this deal is because the Cardinals general manager has already stated that they are interested in trading back. This happened during the NFL owner meetings, right? And when the NFL owner meetings happened, which was March 24th to the 27th, a lot of conversations start to go. Caleb Williams, Drake May, J.J. McCarthy, if all of those guys are gone, then this is where the Raiders trade up to number 4, because the only way that Jaden is not taken yet is if these 3 quarterbacks are the first 3 picks in this year's draft. And Arizona has been continuously saying that they are trying to stockpile to continue to build for the future. So here's this trade idea, and it's not as high as what I've thrown out there before for the Raiders to trade up to number 4, but let's say it was 2 first-round picks in 2024 and 2025. Then it's a 3rd-round pick, so pick number 77, and then a 2nd-round pick in 2025. The reason why this isn't as much as what I've shown in past trade videos is because of the scenario, because of the fact that those 3 other quarterbacks went off the board already, and I do think that the Raiders are a team that wants Jaden more than Denver. It's already been reported that Minnesota doesn't love Jaden Daniels on top of that. So if he's the guy, I don't think that it's going to cost you as much based on if you were to trade for the number 4 pick right now. I got a few more trade ideas coming up here on today's show, but I got to give some love here to our sponsor, Game Time. Who likes lowest price guaranteed? I know I do. Who likes when they hear prices drop? I know I do. Who likes being able to hang out with friends, family, even by yourself, and going to watching good family sporting events? I do. So to me, I want people to be able to snag tickets without the stress with Game Time, because buying tickets to your favorite events, it shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guaranteed, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. So terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS. I'll spell it out for you. CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Some of the things that I love about Game Time, and I'll always say, anytime you go to an event, how do you create a memory? And that's the number one thing that I will always try to do. Any event that I try to go to, I want pictures. I want to be able to remember that event for as long as possible, because then it's worth every single penny to me. On top of that, though, I also know that I've been trying to save up for a wedding. I've been trying to save up for a house, and I do look for events under $50, and especially, with, a lot of times, Alex and I, when we, go out and do something, she just wants to get out of the house. She works at home. She's always with Chuck, and she's like, I just want to get out of the house. I don't need to spend all this money to go to the Mavs or go to the Stars. We can go to events here in Dallas for under $50, her and I both, just to get out. And it's a good time, and because Game Time lets us get the best deal, I always feel like I'm getting an absolute steal. So whether you want to go watch Raiders games next year, whether you want to watch some hockey games, whether you want to go to a concert, theater, all that type of good stuff, all I ask is that you remember Game Time. Come here to the Raiders Report. All you got to do is go down in the links, and all you got to do is go down in the comment section of today's video, or any video that I talk about Game Time. Click on it. Use code CHATSPORTS, $20 off. And I would appreciate it. All right, let's go to the next trade here. Since we're traded up from 3 to 4, what I tried to do is say, okay, which team, in my personal opinion, is the most likely to trade up to pick 13? Because often we always say, oh, the Raiders should trade back. Oh, the Raiders should trade back. Well, it does take 2 to tango, right? So if the Raiders do want to trade back, to me, the team that makes the most sense in them trading up to pick 13 is the Jacksonville Jaguars at 17. And the reason why that I think that is because the way that the year ended last year for the Jags, they were 8-3 at one point and missed the playoffs. And when you think about that type of season happening, that's when teams get a little bit more aggressive. And I think they got a young quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. They would do everything in their power to try to put a lot of talent around him. And I would say that wide receiver and corner, probably some of the biggest needs there for the Jags. Also big needs for the teams above them at pick Saints, Colts. Those teams also have very, very similar needs at 14, 15, 16. And if the Raiders did this, I would say, okay, I get it. You want pick 13. But then there's also a chance that you could still get a Terrion Arnold, a Talisi Fuaga, a J.C. Latham, a Quinion Mitchell. If I told you, would you rather have Talisi Fuaga at 13, or you could get somebody like a J.C. Latham at pick 17, and then on top of that, you're also about to get a second-round pick or something on top. Bottom line, I would do it if I could get this trade here. And this is my third trade idea. If the Raiders want to add just a few more picks thrown in here, and this is a fair trade, the Raiders are winning slightly according to the trade value chart. But if you told me I could get 17th overall, a second-round pick, and I'm able to add a fourth-rounder, and all I'm doing is moving back a few spots in the first round, sure, you're giving up pick 77, but, I'm going to swap 77 for 48 all day, every day, plus I'm getting an extra fourth-rounder. And a lot of the players that I really like in mock drafts are kind of in that fourth-round area. So if you're able to get that extra pick here and you're still able to get a top offensive tackle or a top corner like Quinion Mitchell, why would you not do that if you're the Las Vegas Raiders? Let's go to some other trade back candidates that I think could be interested in going out and getting that the Raiders could trade back with. I would say it from 13. I think the Colts, Seahawks, Jags, all those teams are kind of interested in similar pieces. The Bengals are an intriguing team to me because as long as a team believes that they are a Super Bowl caliber team, they can get aggressive. Another one would be Eagles at number 22 because to me, Howie is always, and I mean always, willing to roll the dice here a little bit. On top of that, let's look at this. Trade up to number 22. And just like I said, the Eagles could trade up to 13. I also know that because of Howie Roseman, they would be open to trading back on top of that at pick number 22. So if you're the Raiders, you take your offensive lineman at pick 13. Michael Penix Jr. starts to fall down here a little bit. And in this scenario, I am trying to jump ahead of the Vikings who pick at 23 because there is a chance that the Vikings, even though, remember, they traded with Houston, they have pick 11 and they have pick 23. What happens if they're unable to trade up? What happens if they're unable to get their franchise quarterback and they want somebody? Because all they have right now is Sam Darnold. Like, what if they then are targeting a guy like Penix? If I'm the Raiders, you got to hop back up in front of the Vikings. You got to go up to Philadelphia at pick 22 and see if you can get your guy. Now, in terms of what it would cost you, it is going to cost you a pretty penny to go from 44, get all the way back up into the first round at 22. And according to the trade value chart, this is about the price in that. So the Raiders, they'd get pick 22 from Philly. The Eagles would get your 44th, so second round pick, your third round pick, and then it also costs you a second round pick in 2025. What you cannot afford to do if you're the Raiders is give up your first round pick in 2025 if you go this route, because in the event that Penix is a failure, you still want to be able to have that first round pick, right? Like, you still want to have at least a chance to go get your franchise guy the following season. Though, if they drafted Penix trading up fashion, I don't think that they would draft a quarterback the following year. But let's play a game here, because to me, there are two quarterbacks that could get drafted in round one, though I don't know if they do get drafted in round one. Like, I would bet right now 85% chance Penix goes in round one. For Bo Nix, I'd say it's a coin flip. But I also know that there's a lot of controversy between both of these QBs here based on who you talk to. So who's the better quarterback? Like, for me, it's Michael Penix Jr., and it's not close. Though, a lot of people that I talk to that I trust also say that it's Bo Nix. Let me know. Bo Nix, Penix, who's the better QB? Let's go to the final trade here on the show, and it is trade up to 27 with the Arizona Cardinals. And the reason why that I'm doing this is because, just like I said, all these reasons here, if you're Arizona and a team wants to trade up to 27, why would you not offer or entertain that idea yet again? Like, the other opportunity, which I would say if there's a team that I'm willing to bet money on does make a trade in round one, it's Arizona trading back from pick 4. They're going to get something that's going to be too good to be resist, and then they're going to get some extra picks in round one. If that happens, if you're the Cardinals, why would you not try to stockpile even more picks than on top of 27? And if you know that you're not going to be in win now mode this season and you have all these picks ready to go, keep on building them, and then for the Raiders, you jump up and grab your quarterback. For me, this is this trade idea. You get pick 27, Cardinals get 44 and 77, and then a fifth-round pick at 148 overall. Yeah, you are losing some of these picks here. It's kind of why, if you watched my video on my Michael Penix Jr. plan, like, any trade that the Raiders make here to go up to 22 to 27, that's the Penix Bo Nix range. And that's kind of why I asked that question here. But if I was making my plan and I were to able to trade away some other players, which, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch my live video from Monday, or you can watch the video that I dropped on Tuesday about my plan for Michael Penix Jr. You need to be able to stockpile some more draft picks in case you do have to make a trade to go up and get your quarterback. Now, I know I threw a lot of trades at you, but out of those trades, which one is your favorite? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? And remember, trades 1 and 2, this is you going up and getting Jaden Daniels, right? And this trade overall that you see right now, too, is probably cheaper than what it would cost. However, based on the scenario that I painted, I think that would probably be the value. If you're trying to trade back, a team like the Jags is a very intriguing one, especially because you're able to get even more picks to be able to build with Telesco and AP. Trade 4 is you're getting probably, you're going to overpay a little bit just because you have to go up and get your guy. But, hey, if you need your quarterback, you got to go up and get him. And then the final one is with the Arizona Cardinals again, where you were willing to wait a little bit longer. You still want to go up and get your QB, but you don't have to overpay like you did at pick 22. Out of all the trades that I just showed you, realistically, my favorite trade there is going up to number 4, so the second trade idea is my favorite. The other one out of all those scenarios is trading back with the Jags. Like, I am always team trade back. I think you'd be able to get some good value. I think you'd be able to build, get even more talent at certain positions that you need. But from top to bottom, the Raiders, to me, are going to be aggressive. You know AP wants to be aggressive. You know they want to go get themselves a franchise quarterback. But we talk all the time about trading up. And I don't feel like we talk nearly enough about trading back up in round 1 or potentially trading back, which is why I decided to make this video here on the Raiders Report. Also, while we were making that video, there's been some new evidence that has come out in this Rashee Rice situation. I'm looking at it right now. I didn't know if you saw.
This was him earlier in that same day wearing the same shirt.
Yep. I mean, it's, again, for people that, kind of like when we spotted Tyree Wilson in the airport, when you look at people every single day, you know their faces, and it might be a crazy thing to say, but looking at that picture there, it's not even it's not even a doubt to me. You know what I mean? Like, it would be like if I saw you wearing whatever that.
A Chugs 99 jersey, and you're like, is it Chugs?
I'm saying, like, you could put that exact same outfit on, like, that Rashee Rice is wearing. You could put it on, and I'm going to know that that's you. Like, my point is, we look at players all the effing time, and we just know certain guys are there. But, yeah, that's, I don't know if that's caught red-handed, but that's definitely caught.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not
Eric,
a good look.
I see your super chat. I appreciate it. Our system's not pulling for me right now.
Oh, I got you. Eric, $1 super chat. Shout out to you, my man. All right, let's do this. We got
2 more races that we got.
2 more March Madness duck races, and then we have our 50-50 raffle, which right now is a $20 Venmo for a chance to win $70 because Anthony Green is in.
And I'm not afraid to say it. I was told maybe you shouldn't say it. The dudes he's with is definitely SMU football players. Like, I've literally seen that guy from me to you. Sure. I know what he looks like.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to call him out by name because I'm not trying to dox him or anything, but that's without a doubt Rashee Rice and some SMU football players.
I'm not going to disagree. I'm not.
You can't show me a picture of a banana and be like, Jeremy, you can't say that that's not a banana.
I know.
Like,
I know.
It's what it is.
Adrian, can you go over what happened in all with Rice? We talked about it earlier on the show. There was an incident in Dallas on Saturday at around 6:20 where 2 cars were racing. There was an accident caused
on the highway.
On the highway of 75, accident occurred, and then essentially people fled the scene, is what I'll say. I'll also say that Rashee Rice has now hired a lawyer, an attorney of some sort. They've put out a statement. So, I mean, I would say it's very obvious of what is happening, but until it is officially official of what comes out, we were told that we kind of have to tiptoe this line of you don't want to accuse anybody of anything, but I think the writing's kind of on the wall here of what's happening. So
yeah, I mean, without implicating or saying that he definitely did it, it appears without reasonable doubt that Rashee Rice and multiple SMU football players were there at the scene, leaving the scene. From the video, unless it was an AI-generated video and photos, barring that, it very much seems without reasonable doubt that he was at the scene.
We'll see what ends up happening. I do think some sort of NFL punishment will come down, some sort of suspension. At least I believe that it should.
Adrian, luckily nobody, no fatalities in the accident. There were 2 people that were taken to the hospital.
Yep.
Nobody in critical care that I know of.
I was, based on what was reported, 2 minor injuries. So 2 people taken to the hospital for what they would consider minor injuries.
Other people arguably probably have other injuries that didn't need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty interesting point. So based on him leaving the scene and because, though, is that considered an injury, I guess?
What?
Like if you're taken to the hospital and it's a minor injury and you leave, what'd you say? If you... So basically, if the injury is deemed important and if you're involved in an accident and you leave the scene of the crime, that can be considered a felony. If it's a felony, you could see Rashee Rice get suspended for the whole year. If it's not considered a felony, then misdemeanor, then it's probably a few game suspension. I mean, I think no matter what, they're not going to have their receiver for a few games.
I think regardless, weak as hell to leave the scene and
of course. I mean,
not even make sure everybody's okay.
I could not agree with you more.
I couldn't imagine getting in a wreck, having multiple cars wreck out, and then just running away. Like,
yeah, it's pretty brutal, man. Pretty brutal.
Regardless, weak shit by whoever it was.
Yep. Facts. All right, let's do these 2 more March Madness races.
Able to pull this one for some reason.
Free Rice, he's not escaping that Raider ass whooping. I mean, I'll say this. If you're Kansas City, though, and he's suspended, you just do it right off the top of the season. You don't wait.
If I'm Kansas City, I tell him, you come out, say everything right now, and we'll suspend you for 4 to 6 games. Or you can face more severe punishment later.
See, I think the NFL punishes Kansas City on top of that because of Reed, his son, that situation.
I feel like that doesn't play into...
I feel like the NFL, if there's certain teams...
It's just like, Andy Reid, your son had a DUI, so now this random player who has no connection to Andy Reid's son...
But he has a connection to the Chiefs, that's the point.
But it's like, that's like guilty by association. Like, you did something maybe not as severe as the guy before.
So if an NFL team has under their watch 2 situations in 1 year, you don't think that?
I mean, Janarius Robinson's still on the Raiders.
Oh, I agree. Should be cut. I can't believe that he's still on the team.
But should the Raiders be punished for that because they had 2 guys? Under your rule, the Raiders should be punished as well.
My point, the punishment is them not allowing to have, no disrespect to Janarius Robinson. I think if the NFL was like, you got to cut him, I don't know if that's as much of a punishment as the Chiefs losing Rashee Rice. But I think that
if it was a more influential player.
Yeah, again, I guess we're tiptoeing around things that I don't know all the facts to a story.
I just don't feel like you can be like, oh, Andy Reid's son, this happened to him. Now this, connecting the 2 makes no sense to me.
Okay, that's fair.
That's like being like,
I guess the NFL has proven to me, though, if certain teams, definitely players just keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Maybe the same player, but what other instance of 2 things like that with the same team, a harder punishment is coming down because it's the same team?
I don't have the answer to you right now.
I don't see the correlation between Andy Reid's son and him because I feel like they're 2 way different events.
Yeah, I guess because
Andy Reid's son also had a history of that wasn't his first DUI. He had multiple.
No, I know
run-ins.
that. I guess though, I'm thinking when Ruggs had his situation, and then Nate Hobbs had a situation later on that year. I don't think the Raiders were punished. I don't think they were fine. I don't know.
I feel like each situation is different.
All right, fair enough. Let's go. I'm with Gatling Gun. Let's move on. Coming up here on the show, we got 2 March Madness races to advance to our Final 4. 93, hit and run is a felony, to be clear. I hear you. We got to get all the evidence, and once we do, we'll continue to break it down. John Rodriguez also says that's a felony hit and run. He should do time for fleeing the scene.
I agree.
I don't disagree with y'all. The problem of the situation is
I don't think you leave the scene if you don't have anything to hide.
Correct. You don't leave the scene. I've been in one fender bender, and they fled the scene, and I know why they fled the scene. They were no license and weren't allowed to live in this country. So they fled the scene, though, right? So, I mean, they were honest with me. They told me that. And then they bounced, but is what it is. I'm with you, though, Chugs. I think it's a cowardly act, and Rashee Rice shouldn't be playing football this year. John, what up, my man? What up, my man? All right, y'all, let's do this March Madness race here. We got 600 people watching, 365 likes. Not bad. Winner goes to the Final Four, Miggy Camacho.
Is Miggy in here?
I saw Miggy earlier. I don't know if he's still here. 30 seconds on the clock.
Whew.
Miggy Camacho says, let's go.
Miggy Camacho versus Troy Williams.
3, 2, 1. run it. Miggy Camacho gets out to the early lead, though Troy Williams has been taking down some big opponents here. See, I'm not going to lie. I think Troy's got the right idea. He's saving it up for the NOS. Miggy falls behind now. Troy Williams with the lead. 10 seconds to go. Oh, dude, this is going to be so close. Troy's about to kick it in, though. Troy Williams kicks it in. Miggy Camacho goes down. Troy Williams, victorious. A 12 seed survives. Miggy. This is a hell of a run, Miggy. Making it to the Elite Eight is a hell of a run. Congratulations to Troy Williams. Congratulations to Troy Williams. Oh, dude. Congrats to Troy from Miggy. Troy, are you here? Is Troy Williams here? Because now it's David Zahn up against Jose Corona, and then Troy Williams up against either Lori Sandoval or James Guevara. I mean, Troy, you are 2 races away, 2 wins away from $1,600.
This is a big one right here.
Dungeon Fitness. Is that true? I don't know. I do not know.
Huge race coming up.
Lori Sandoval up against James Guevara. Also, Jamari Murray wants an extra raffle. J. Murray, which means $20 Venmo. You guys have a chance to win $80 now. Okay? The final 4 is about to be set. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Well, I'll tell you what. They came out hot. Lori Sandoval, James Guevara. Sandoval's got a little bit of a lead. Is she going to have enough to hang on to it, though? We could potentially have a 9 against 12.
Wow.
A 9 against 12.
After this,
10 seconds to go.
More somewhat
Dude, I think Lori's going to have it. Wait a minute. Guevara! What an unbelievable comeback. Hit the NOS.
Wow.
Dude, I thought Lori had it. I really did. It looks like James Guevara woke up in a brand new Bugatti, and he might be able to buy one after he wins $1,600. Wow, what a race. What a race by Guevara. Our final 4 is set. Do you think you could make a graphic for that one? That's just final 4?
Working on it right now.
All right, cool. Guevara gets the dub. Guevara, are you here? Dungeon, I don't know if it's true, Dungeon. I don't know if I believe you. You got to prove it to me. You got to prove it to me there, Dungeon. Which means here is our final 4. You got David Zahn up against Jose Corona, and then Troy Williams up against James Guevara. Winner's going to, somebody right here is going to win $1,600.
James Guevara, are you in the chat? I don't remember I forgot what his name is on YouTube. He watches a lot, though.
Oh, watches all the time.
Is it just James Guevara?
I mean, I love that JC, now that I know that Jose Corona's JC does it, he watches all the time. Guevara watches all the time. Troy, I don't know if they're here. I'll tell you what, though. I mean, Dungeon says, okay, James, me and you, congrats. See you next race.
I mean, it doesn't matter because we have the correct Venmo of the person.
Correct.
So.
We have the right Venmo.
It could be them.
All right, you know what? I'm going to do this. To Troy Williams. All right, Troy, I'm going to message you. Let me see here. Troy got a duck. All right, Troy. I'm going to message you real quick here, Troy. And I'm going to send you a number, Troy. Troy, I just sent you a number on Venmo. If you're here watching, I want you to type that number. That way I know. I sent you a number on Venmo. You got to put that number in the chat. See, now everyone's saying I am Troy Williams. See, that's... Though I know 93. I know who you are.
Rebel might be Troy Williams.
Nope. Not even close. Not even close. Okay. We got one more race to do today, and that one is for a chance to win. As it stands right now, $80. So if you want a chance to get in, $20 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365 for a chance to win a little bit of money. I am going to send Jeremy all of these names here real quick. I'm going to send them to TV for you. We got Justin Gilbert, Adrian Rodriguez, Jamari Murray, 93 Nabman, Jose Corona, Anthony Green, Randall Carter are the names that are in. And then after this, we say bon voyage, and I'll see you tomorrow here on the Raider Sport at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
24 days away from the draft.
24 days away? I'm excited. I got to get home. I got to watch a little Iowa LSU action tonight. Big game. Big game. Also got to watch a little bit of the Traders. I'm hooked. Hooked, Petey. It's a problem. Huh? I never watched season 1.
Did you watch the season with the girl from Survivor? There's a lot of people from Survivor.
Yeah. So the one that's the popular one, the one that's like taking place like now is season 2, right? Yeah, that's the only one I've watched. I never watched season 1. Really? All right. If you guys need a good show to watch on Netflix, is it on Netflix? Actually, I don't know.
It's Suri.
I don't know.
You know who that is?
It's called Traders. The Traders. I don't know. I honestly don't know what channel it's on. Maybe it's on Peacock. Yeah, let's say Alex does all that stuff. She handles it. I don't see any numbers yet, though. So poor Troy's going to get that message, and he's like, I have no idea. All right. Dungeon Fitness. It's Troy. Confirmed.
75?
That's the number I sent him. Yep.
Wow.
All right, confirmed. Dungeon is Troy Williams. How you feel? You almost win $1,600, dude. That's wild. I'm glad that we have everybody watching today's show knows that they have a shot to win it. All right, I don't have any more, so let's do this one. It's going to be for $80. You ready?
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1. Good luck to all y'all out there. I mean, Adrian Rodriguez is... I thought he was about to go off the screen. Randall Carter now just got a little peek. We are in April.
Jose Corona.
Jose Coronavirus. Falling back now a little bit. Justin Gilbert.
You won't believe who just super chatted.
What's up, fam? What did I miss? The show, Crash Dog. You missed everything. Adrian.
You'll be able to rewatch the whole show, though.
Yeah, go back and watch. I feel like the Crash Dog is almost like the locals from Brandon. You know it's going to come. You know it's happening. It's just a matter is when. 93 Navman. His little legs are not going to be able to hold up.
Toasty, we'll have to talk about that tomorrow because I feel slighted because I was one of the first people to mention it.
Adrian Rodriguez. I think he's got it. He does. Adrian Rodriguez, and I think Gilbert's getting the butthole pick.
I feel like
What?
I think it might be Jamari Murray. I feel like I've been, taken advantage of, stolen of my hot take of Dak to the Raiders. Because now it's a very popular opinion and thing being thrown around.
When?
Today, a report came out. Not a report. Article came out from, I think it was either the Dallas Morning News or USA Today for the Cowboys. Came out, if the Cowboys were to move on from Dak, most likely destination, the Las Vegas Raiders.
Mm-hmm. Never going to happen.
We're almost done.
It's never going to happen. think when Sperry's legs rub together, it sounds like a cricket?
I think it sounds like when his like legs move together like that. I feel like it sounds like your windshield wipers when there's no water on there.
Or like, you remember those pants you used to wear when you were a kid? I don't know what type of pants they were, but they don't make them anymore, probably for good reason. Adrian Rodriguez, finally, I won one. Congrats. And then my man, L.A. Crash Dog. Also, Adrian, if you can confirm
L.A. Crash Dog
that I sent you the $80, that would be much appreciated. Much appreciated. All right, y'all. Jeremy and I are going to head on out. Appreciate all y'all for tuning in to today's show. Hopefully April is pretty an eventful month. I felt like, honestly, March was probably one of the most boringest Marches I've had in a while here on this show. Hopefully we get a chance to turn up, get a little bit crazy in the month of April. But, hey, 24 days away from the NFL Draft. We will be here, live coverage from me, from Jeremy Chuggs. Shout out to all of y'all. Congratulations to everybody in the Final Four. We will do – when's the actual Final Four? Saturday? Jesus, I didn't even get that out of my mouth, and he said Saturday. So that means we'll do our Final Four races Friday. And then the actual championship game is what, Monday? That means we'll do our championship game on Monday. Sounds good.
Let's do it.
That means the next time we do March Madness, Friday. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern Time.